Pathfinder 2e is a really enjoyable TTRPG system and my personal go-to system when wanting to run a game. While it has its flaws, Paizo, the company that owns PF2e, released a PF2e remaster, tweaking all of the classes and making them generally better based on feedback from the community. One of the core classes is Monk. If you're looking for a brawler who doesn't need armor and can beat metal armor with their bare hands, Monk has you covered. PF2e manages to push Monk beyond its limits, allowing you to play a variety of playstyles. Nimble brawlers, ducking and weaving through the fight, steadfast and unmovable walls, frontline support using grapples, shoves, and trips to control and debuff enemies, and even enhanced abilities that wouldn't be out of place in an episode of Dragon Ball Z. However, is Monk actually in a good spot? When compared to other martial classes, are Monk's strengths enough to make it stand out? Or is Monk's unique identity a detriment to its design? Greetings, sailors and passengers, this is your captain speaking, and today we will be discussing Monk in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Our trip will start with a breakdown of Monk, and proceed to a comparison of Monk to other classes, ending with my thoughts on the class in its current state. With the itinerary set, I'm Captain Lucia Flora of the Revenge. Thank you for choosing to sail with us today. Part 1. Monk. While unarmed brawlers as a concept has been a staple of the media for decades, Monk is evocative of a specific type of pugilist, the martial arts master. Taking heavy inspiration from classic movies starring Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and Donnie Yen, as well as concepts from the wuxia genre of films, the specific power fantasy Monk offers is that of a warrior who has perfected their body and mind to the point they no longer need a weapon. They are the weapon. To fulfill this fantasy, Monk in Pathfinder 2nd Edition has a couple of tricks in the base kit to enable Monk to register their hands as lethal weapons. Increase damage die on your basic unarmed attack, as well as upgrading your unarmed attacks to act as magical, silver, cold iron, and adamantium will ensure you always are able to punch your enemy and have them feel it. But what really seals the deal is their Flurry of Blows. At level 1, Monks gain access to the Flurry of Blows action, which lets them attack twice for a single action. While you can only use it once per turn, as it has the Flourish tag, there is no limit to how many times a day you can use this. Most classes only dream of such an amazing action economy. In any situation where you can attack once, you can just attack twice for free. This frees up an action for, well, anything. An extra stride or step, raise a shield, intimidate, interact, the options are near limitless. On the opposite side of the spectrum, Monks have one of the highest AC values in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Every other class only starts trained in their armor proficiency, while Monk starts out an expert in theirs. Mathematically, this means Monk has a free +2 to AC when compared to almost any other class with the same level. This is only matched by the Champion, as they are the only other class to reach legendary armor proficiency, but even they only start out trained. Throw in the fact shields aren't restricted by armor proficiency, and Monk is a class that can be very hard to kill. Monk level ups are standard fare. Class feats at level 1 and every even level after, skill feats to every odd level, general and ancestry feats, etc. What Monks can really look forward to is incredible movement. At level 3, Monks gain a 10-foot status bonus to speed, for free, permanently. Every 4 levels after, that bonus goes up by 5 feet. This combination of action economy, speed, and defense is the formula that makes Monks, Monks. Superior speed and Flurry of Blows means that they can control the battlefield through their ability to capitalize on openings, striking fast and hard whenever the opportunity presents itself. And when the enemy launches a counterattack, their puny weapons will break against the unyielding defense of Monks. Monks, interestingly enough, don't get a subclass. This is the same as fighters, both of which get their quote-unquote subclass through class feats. Monks can choose from a variety of stances at level 1. Stances grant access to unique unarmed attacks that can have a variety of effects, with small bonuses added on, like Crane giving +1 AC and reduced AC on jumps, or Mountain Stance changing how your AC calculation works. Alternatively, they can choose to invest in key feats, where they gain a focus pool and can perform magical effects such as an enhanced Flurry of Blows, eventually expanding into mystical powers like unique stances or being able to teleport. And since you can recover your entire focus pool in just a few 10-minute intervals, Monks can do these key boosted abilities in practically every fight. If you want to be a master of weapons, you can instead take feats giving you proficiency in weapons, allowing you to use your Monk abilities like Flurry of Blows or the enhancements to your unarmed attacks with any weapon you are proficient with. This includes bows, ancestry weapons, and even shuriken. The last type of class feats are the feats that provide more utility, movement abilities such as increasing your jumping distance, giving you the power to walk on water or run along walls, or improved action economy with movement. There are also options to improve your flurry of blows, including stunning your enemies or letting you use crowd control options instead of strikes. These utility abilities are nice ways to improve what Monk is already good at while supplementing the previously mentioned builds. Between Monk's class feats and their innate abilities, it's easy to understand why people would want to play Monk. But why would someone want to play Monk over another class? Well, let's do a much more direct comparison. Part 2. Monks versus other classes. When it comes to other classes, Monk's direct comparison would probably be a Fighter. Fighters not having subclasses and having statistically more accurate attacks over all the other classes makes them most similar to Monk in a mechanical sense. Where Monk class feats either give them stances or focus points, Fighter class feats give them options for feats focused on specific weapon types, such as feats for bows, one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, or dual wielding, feats improving shield usage, or more general purpose combat feats. Wait, they can move twice and attack twice in a turn? That's interesting. Let's move on to Barbarians. The thematic opposite, they tap into a rage and attack on instinct. They trade lower AC for damage resistance, functioning more as an HP tank compared to Monk's AC tank, and increase damage on attacks. They have a variety of class feats, so they are much more focused on improving their class abilities, rage, and instinct features with fewer general combat feats. Hey, wait a minute. Champions are another tanky class, with each oath giving the champion a way to reduce damage using their reaction. Considering they will also gain legendary armor proficiency, champions will be able to match the Monk in pure defense while also being able to more actively defend their team. Rogue is a skilled monkey with a focus on single high damage attacks. While they do gain a lot of feats for use in combat, they also gain a variety of feats providing out of combat benefits. Since they gain skill increases and skill feats every level, they can build up a solid repertoire of feats usable both in and out of combat, such as feats improving your jumping distance, or allowing you to run on water. Wait, hang on! Part 3. The flaws of Monk. By now, we've seen the pattern. Monk's uniqueness isn't exactly unique. A Barbarian and Fighter can take a feat at level 1 that lets them move twice and attack twice in the same turn, while Champion can take a feat that lets them move, raise a shield, and attack twice in a single turn. But Barbarian and Fighter are both better at hurting the enemy. The Barbarians gain a damage boost on every attack, and the Fighter has higher accuracy, so they land hits and crits more often. Meanwhile, the Champion can use their reaction to reduce damage taken by either an ally or themselves, depending on their oath. The Monk's offense is focused around Flurry of Blows, but because of the multi-attack penalty, the second attack of Flurry of Blows has a drastically reduced chance of hitting. That -4, or -5 if you're using some stance's unique unarmed attack, can really be felt. It feels more like crit fishing sometimes when you roll that second attack on a boss and miss with a 16 on the die. But even when you do crit, your damage is still underwhelming compared to Barbarians or Rogues, and you don't hit as often as Fighters to make up for it. Monks have the speed to dash towards any opportunity on the battlefield, and the defense to stay alive when they get there, but the actual threat they pose is lacking. But wait, I hear you say, what about crowd control? Using athletic skill checks to shove the enemy around and knock them prone is really useful. That is true, and you should never underestimate a well-timed knockdown in combat, but this still ends up with the same issue. Monks gain no bonuses to skill checks, making any skill check beyond the first much more unlikely to succeed. Troops getting hit with a -4 on the second attempt and a critical failure causing you to end up prone means that it's a lot greater risk than just trying a punch. And yes, the class feat that lets you substitute one or both of your attacks with shoves, disarms, and trips still has the map applied. Compare this to Barbarians, who are more often than not going to have a higher strength score and can gain benefits to athletics checks while raising, or Fighters who have access to class feats and press actions that apply the same effect but rely more on their accuracy and not a skill check. Champions are more likely than not strength-based, meaning they will almost certainly have a higher strength bonus to athletics of equal skill proficiency, and Rogues getting extra skill feats and proficiency improvements means they can still match a monk in skill actions while still being skill monkeys for non-combat purposes. There are even more issues with Monk just relating to the rules themselves. When starting combat without a surprise round, I've never had to draw my weapon on turn 1 playing as any other class. Should monks be allowed to enter a stance before combat in the same way other characters can start combat with a weapon drawn? Because otherwise, monks start every combat at a disadvantage because they need to spend one action to quote-unquote draw their weapon when other classes don't. Unless you consider Tiger Stance's bonus of moving 10 feet on a step instead of 5 feet so powerful to necessitate the one action cost, or you want to make the quick draw feat more useful. Monk also suffers from a limited amount of class feats. Level 2 lets you improve your jumping ability, or you could instead take a feat that lets you attempt to stun your enemy when using Flurry of Blows. At level 6, you can take a class feat that allows you to run on water, or you can take any of the feats that improve your stances. At level 8, you can run along walls, with some massive caveats, which can be combined with water walking to run up waterfalls, or you could just teleport the same distance with a level 6 feat. How often would these movement abilities really be needed and can't be replaced by a spellcaster, compared to how often you are going to use Flurry of Blows on an enemy or enter an improved stance? Barbarians, rogues, and champions have subclasses, giving them improved abilities outside of their class feats. Fighters get an entire feat they can change every morning to better prepare for the challenges of the day. Monks get niche improvements to their unarmed attacks that other classes can get through runes or consumables, and that's it. Cold Iron Punches are good, but the fighter buying a Cold Iron Blanch and the wizard using needle darts with a chunk of raw cold iron in their pocket does the same thing. Speaking of weapons, let's talk about feats that give monk weapon proficiency. They have two options at level 1, proficiency in weapons with the monk trait, or bows. If you want to build a throwing weapon monk, you have to wait until level 2 and take 2 feats. Barbarians only need to take a feat at level 1 to get the same comparable benefit. You get the benefits of monk features while using weapons, including Flurry of Blows and any upgrades to your unarmed attacks, but this still doesn't really make up for monks' less powerful and less accurate attacks. Key monks aren't any better. At level 1, you get 1 focus point if you pick the key feat. You don't get a stance or weapon proficiency, so you can only use your better Flurry of Blows or enhanced movement once per combat. Then you are stuck with nothing for the rest of the fight. You do get more focus points and a lot of cool abilities at higher levels, but those first few levels are going to feel really underwhelming. The remaster of Monk brought almost no changes, mostly reworking some of the feats. It did add Godbreaker, which sounds really awesome, but in practice is bad. Compare Godbreaker to the Whirlwind Fighter feat. Do you see what is missing? When you use Godbreaker, you have to land 3 attacks in a row with a stacking multi-attack penalty, otherwise you are at risk of taking fall damage. This is the same level that you can gain an extra action every turn for movement, or a reaction that gives the enemy disadvantage on an attack roll that you can use after they hit you. When you break it down, all Monk has going for it is the defense and speed. It's a good thing that there's not another class. Part 4. Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler is just the better monk in most aspects. When swashbucklers have panache, they gain movement speed at the same rate as monks, while only half as much without panache. They gain damage bonus on attacks and can use a finisher to land 1 hit of massive damage. The first finisher all swashbucklers get, Confident Finisher, even lets you do half the precision damage on a miss. A gymnast swashbuckler has bravado on shoves and trips, giving them +1 on those attempts, with class feats later on giving you advantages on rolls with bravado. Swashbucklers also get a few extra skill increases and feats, giving them a bit more of a boost in that department compared to other martial classes. Combine that with bravado, and swashbucklers can absolutely be built around using skills in combat while not sacrificing their damage potential. Want to play a combatant who can zip through the battlefield and strike a decisive blow against the enemy? Swashbuckler has the same speed as Monk but can use finishers to deal massive single attack damage. Want to play a crowd control martial? Jim the Swashbuckler is going to be a better choice than the Monk. An acrobat who can jump across the battlefield and tackle exploration challenges with physicality, Swashbuckler can tackle the same challenges as Monk with less investment. Monk does have the advantage in defense, but even then, Swashbucklers can just take a feat at level 1 to have better bucklers or parries and match the Monk normally. Flurry of Blows means Monks can land 2 attacks, or at least try to land 1, but considering every swashbuckler except Gymnast can gain panache and use a finisher in the same round without a multi-attack penalty, they only need to land 1 attack per round to be effective. Is a +2 to defense and 2 subpar attacks in 1 action really worth it? Is there actually any reason to play Monk over Swashbuckler? I don't think so. Part 5. How to fix Monk. Monk is in a bad spot, but it's not unsalvageable. There's 2 directions it could go. The first is, well, give Monk a subclass. Let them pick between something like Stance Dancer, Weapon Master, Key Practitioner, or Unfettered Movement. By letting Monk pick their own path of enlightenment and reworking the class feats to fit into the system, you can let people build a Monk around the central theme while still giving them personalization through class feats. Alternatively, taking a page from Swashbuckler would be massive. Every time Monk gains a speed increase, they can take a class feat with a new prowess tag, giving them movement options outside their limited class feats. Maybe even some other classes can have their feats tagged with prowess as well, giving monks a way to access those feats without archetypes. Outside of that, there's a couple of other tweaks to consider. Perhaps Powerful Fist could also mean you're counted as wielding 2 weapons when using 2 unarmed attacks, and then we give Monk a bunch of 2-weapon fighting feats. Also, Shooting Star Stance does not need to be level 2 feat. Either combine it into weapon proficiency or make all monks already proficient in weapons, and Shooting Star Stance is a level 1 feat. Also, Water Walk and Wall Run do not need to be 2 separate feats. Combine them into 1 feat for movement that is not overpowered. Now, let's talk about Flurry of Blows. I think it can be improved to better lean into the death by 1,000 cuts combat style. Having a way to reduce the multi-attack penalty is potentially dangerous in terms of balancing, but I think it can work. One way is that you can spend 2 actions instead of 1 when using Flurry of Blows to reduce the multi-attack penalty by half. This would affect strikes and attack actions should you take the appropriate class feat. Alternatively, you can have Flurry of Blows reduce the multi-attack penalty to -4, -8, -3, -6 if agile, then reduced even further at 7 and 15. As a bonus, this would justify the Monk archetype imposing a limit to Flurry of Blows. Now, I do understand why Monk has been lacking in the offense department, and that's because it's defensively strong. But is it really any stronger than any other class? Fighters getting shield block, champions with their reactions, barbarian getting damage resistance, rogue having access to nimble dodge, swashbuckler with buckler and parry feats, they all have ways to reduce damage, sometimes significantly. Monk having a statistical +2 to AC is not really more powerful than any other class's defensive feature. I do believe we can boost their offensive capability in some way without making them overpowered and still retaining their identity. Conclusion. I love Monk. Compared to other systems, I like how Pathfinder 2e handles Monk. My first character was a Monk, but after playing a Monk, I asked my DM to let me switch to Swashbuckler. Since then, every time I've theory-crafted builds, Monk falls out of consideration rather quickly. Monk deserves better. Greetings, sailors and passengers. I hope you enjoyed the trip. If you wish to join the crew of the Revenge, press the subscribe button to enlist and click the bell to be notified when we're setting sail. To those who wish to stay passengers, thank you for joining us on this cruise. Please feel free to come by for another journey at your earliest convenience. Please leave your questions, thoughts, and concerns in the comments below. This is your Captain Lucia Flora, wishing you a safe voyage. Be excellent to each other.